Obviously, Highlander was a fair amount of time away, and but it obviously seems to keep. It's like its main character, it's immortal, and they're doing a new version of the Highlander movie. They're redoing the film, from what I understand. Before anybody else, nobody has to be in it. It's okay. I've got a lot of stuff going on. But I always liked Highlander. It was a great idea. I think it was one of those things that. There's got a bit of reverb on this thing. Yeah, I might turn it down a bit. Hear it? So we'll do that. It's like people ask me where the quickening comes from. I say, where the sword comes from. I'm like, well, same place the music does. But Highlander was it was a fun time. It was a very fast period of time to do. We did 5 years, 6 seasons, and it was there was a lot to do with it. For today, that type of show would cost a lot more money because it was actually bi-coastal. It was partly in Vancouver, partly in Paris, and it cost about 1.1 million per show. Today, it costs you about 4, and it's a much more expensive undertaking these days. I mean, you look at a lot of shows like Walking Dead, and a lot of shows now have changed because they use a lot of visual effects in the show, so it costs a little bit more money to do. Actors' salaries are different, travel's different. I mean, any of you know that the travel here costs you a lot more to travel here. You have to pay for your bags to get on an airline. Before it's free. So there's a lot of small things that actually make things a little bit more expensive. But Highlander back then, it was like a ride. I mean, most people ask me certain episodes, and I can pretty much remember a lot of them. But it went by really quickly because I dealt with everything. I dealt with the scripts, I dealt with the sword fights, choreography. I put my 2 cents in. I had to do. I directed. I produced it. I looked at editing. I was looking at every single dailies that came out. I watched the episodes maybe once, and that was it. People were like, oh, do you remember this and that episode? I remember, yeah, vaguely, but I don't remember seeing it, So it went by very quickly, but it was a very big period of my life because it was 8-9 months of the year, fully like 6-7 days a week. So it was a very learning curve as well. I was doing so many different things. I watched some really great people. So I'm going to open up to some questions for you. Please, if you don't mind. Hope it doesn't reverb. You might have to come on. I don't know if it's going to. I don't know if it's actually going to reach that. Yeah, no.
I'm James from Virginia. You know what? I was at the Highlander convention. You couldn't make it to because I guess Michael B entered your foot on the Dead Man Can't Dance. And I remember that, and I was wondering how it was experience like working on Dead Man Can't Dance with Michael B and his wife at the time. His wife, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Dead Man Can't Dance was a tough shoot to do. We were in the Philippines. It was about 110 degrees with a lot of humidity, and doing the choreography of the knife fight was interesting. We had a Kali Balintimo master doing a lot of the fight stuff, and he was 65 years old, toothless, and pot-bellied, and you think, we're going to teach me how to do it. And he was like, I'm like, okay, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I believe it. So, Michael and Michael trod on my foot and broke my toe. I didn't know it for about a week. And I remember going into the hospital because in the Philippines at the time we were in a very small hospital in a small city in the Philippines. In the hospital room, they said, oh, you can have an x-ray of your foot. So I actually went into this room and it was a big green thing up above me, right? It looked like something out of Doctor Who in the 1960s. And they said, okay, you're going to put your foot up here, we're going to take an x-ray of it. This thing went, the guy went behind the counter and this thing went, and I'm looking at the wires, literally, in the ceiling, there were wires hanging out the ceiling. And I'm looking at the guy going, are you serious? It's like, they took an x-ray and looked at it and it's broken. Oh, really? Because I didn't realize it. Little toe you don't do anything with. So I said, all right, it's broken. what do I do? He said, well, you're going to have a cast put on it, a small little cast, but we don't have the things in the hospital here. You have to go out to the pharmacy to buy it. So I didn't get the driver here to go out and get the stuff from the pharmacy, bring it back in, which was later in the day, and we went into the small outpatients, which was this big, like this. There's one guy on the gurney that's been shot in the leg. One guy on the gurney has been shot in the side, and I'm sitting there, and the guy looks at me and goes, you're the Highlander, let's do you first. I went, these guys. So, there is a benefit to me. My little dinky toe.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it was a fun thing to do. I actually, after that, after it healed slightly, I did a stunt from a crane, where it was about, my feet were about, I don't know, this high off the floor, right? So you're swinging on the crane, and I was supposed to come behind him and stab him from behind. I said, no problem, I can do that. But I'm wearing these small Chinese slippers, and the concrete, it was concrete like this. So when I landed, the first time I did it was fine, but they tell you, when you do stunts, never do stunts after lunch. The reason why is because all your blood has gone to your stomach and it's not into the other parts of your body. You're not really functioning correctly. And that happened because what happened was that the first take after lunch, I swung out because I was supposed to swing over on the crane and then jump down. I overswung and I over-rotated. So as I came out like this, I landed like that on the backs of my heels and my heel went crack.
Oh, man.
So I had a few little incidents on that.
Thank you.
Adrian for Adrian, right?
I just wonder what your thoughts on a character Horton. You seem Horton towards later in the end of the series.
On Horton? Which one? Horton?
Yeah. It seemed like a pretty tough Horton in the film. There's always a thorn on your side.
Are we talking about Horton?
Yeah.
Horton, he wasn't immortal.
Yeah, I know. I just wonder.
He was really tough to kill, but he wasn't immortal. He was played by, gosh, I forgot his name now. Great guy, lovely guy, English character. But that was the interesting thing about Highlander. It wasn't necessarily about the thing that they did in the storyline of Highlander was you have to cut another woman's head off, right? But the issues with the series weren't just about that. They were about the issues we deal with every day. How does an immortal go through life dealing with those issues? So having a human that was evil, that was hard to kill, was just another element that we have to deal with in everyday life. So it was, I think that was one of the reasons they put his character in there, was that to show that he didn't just have to be immortal to be evil, and he wasn't going to be just fighting bad immortals, he would also be immortals as well. No other questions?
No, I had another question, and I have another question. You want another question? Oh no, you had a question? She has a question.
You're going to have to come up, I think it's strict. Because just yelling.
Yeah.
I'll repeat it.
Do you have like a favorite location from, you said you've been to the Philippines and you've been all over the world to film. Do you have a favorite location that you can think of where you filmed?
Do I have a favorite location of where I filmed? Yeah, I filmed in a lot of places, and I've been to a lot of places. I just came back from Costa Rica doing a sci-fi adventure called AE. That was beautiful. I also, Paris, really, when you talk about location, it's difficult because you've got locations that are city locations and you've got locations that are natural locations. Costa Rica rainforest is absolutely beautiful, deadly, because every day we would I'm not joking, we would have to get rid of poisonous snakes, then we'd have some sort of animal somewhere. We had a scorpion about to hit the main actress and the director, 2 different days. We had poisonous snakes, so it's different. Paris to me is a fantastic location, for Highlander especially, but for any shoot, because it's a great city. It's difficult to get around, the bureaucracy in France, because the French, they have paperwork, you can't do anything without some paperwork. It's a very French thing, but you point the camera anywhere, you've got a beautiful you've got a beautiful backdrop. So, as a city, Paris is a beautiful city to have a backdrop in for me. I like historical things. So, and also Dubrovnik is another beautiful city that has that type of backdrop. We looked at one time for one visit we were doing. So those would be two locations I'd say city-wise, and St. Bart's, funny enough, I don't think we shoot anything there, but it's a beautiful location to go on vacation. Somebody shared it. I think this lady was this lady here. Okay, I don't think I like to watch.
I'm just reading at it and being that I know you're a Highlander. What was it like to be another immortal in the breed?
Sorry, how was it like to what?
To be another type of immortal as a vampire.
Oh, in the breed? Breed was fun. You know what, everything you're going to ask me today, I'm going to tell you what injuries I had on them. The breed, okay, the breed was a lot of fun, because what I wanted to do with the breed was, for those of you who didn't see it, it was a very well-respected, well-liked genre vampire picture. And I was playing the 1940s vampire, Jewish vampire, Polish Jewish vampire. And they said, we don't want any accent. And I said, well, I think he's got to have some sort of accent. He has to have an English kind of like a twist or something. So I was really working on who this guy was. And I said, the other thing I want to do is I want to do this type of, you know, vampires flying. There's all the myths of vampires being able to fly. So I said, well, in my fight stuff, I want to be able to do some really good, cool stuff. So one thing I created, which is in it, is a back handspring, jumping up in the air, revealing guns like this. Right? Bright ideas. You know, I'd done gymnastics. I've done a fair amount of gymnastics before, some gymnastics, and I knew how to do a back handspring on a trampoline. And I showed the stunt coordinator in Hungary that I could do a back handspring, and I told him this is what I wanted to do. And he said, "Oh, well, you need to have wire work to do." And I said, "Well, you know wire work, right? Because you're going to have to do this." And they said, "Yeah, no wire work." Yes, of course. I'm like, all right, fine. I said, "This is what I can do on a trampoline." He said, "We must go to the gym to get the rest of the stuff." So we went to the gym, and they had all the equipment, the vaults and the pits to fall in and all this stuff. And my stunt double, who looked like a rugby player, was like this, was doing the wire work at that time, and he was being put into the harness. And there were three guys pulling him. Now, I don't know if you know what wire work is. Usually they have a harness here, and what they do is they take the weight of your body so that you can literally free fall through the air. So he was doing a back handspring. He looked like a sack of potatoes going through the air, and then the three guys behind him were pulling him like this. So I said, okay. I saw them do it 3 times. Then the stunt coordinator said to me, "Okay, now your turn." I said, "Absolutely, my turn." So he puts me in the harness, and I'm standing in front of him like this. He says, "We go on 3, right?" I said, "Yeah, we'll go on 3. And then he goes, "See you up, he goes, do a bit." I'm not understanding Hungarian. And he said something to the 3 guys behind me, and then he goes, 1, 2, 3. So I go backwards, nobody pulls me. So I go straight back on my head. My whole hand goes like this. I've got nerve damage through the back of my neck. I'm in a neck cast for the next 10 days, solidly. Luckily, that happened to me once before, or unluckily, because I'd actually had to have a CAT scan done when I was doing Highlander. I felt my head doing Highlander. That's another story. But I felt like, when I did that particular fall, I fell forwards. They put me in a head cast, but I went to the Monaco Film Festival, and being smart, wanted to go out like I was in a tuxedo. Come on, tuxedo with a neck brace? Doesn't look good, does it? So I'm like on the dance floor, I took it off. I'm like, yeah. For a year I was in pain because I just couldn't. So I realised that you need to, with a neck injury, you need to stabilise it minimum for 10 days as much as you can. And I did that on the break, and it helped. So there's another interesting story. Any other episode you want to get to? Yes, sir.
All right, 9 Miles Down. Awesome flick. I mean, you as a character was great. Emotionally, how hard is it to get into that kind of role, character, and getting all in your head?
Well, in 9 Miles Down, I really liked this concept of 9 Miles Down. I felt the end, it was interesting. Everybody has a view of what it is. And the idea that, for those of you who know that I play a character that's stuck in the desert and finds this oil rig, or this oil excavating site, devoid of life, where there should have been like 20 people, and it all disappeared. And suddenly I see this woman appear from the desert, and she suddenly she's beautiful, and she starts saying she's one of the team, and then I realize that she's not part of the team, and is there something wrong, and then I start seeing things, and I see the devil, and I realize maybe she's the devil, and so emotionally it was tough to get into that space. We actually started in Budapest, because we shot Budapest and Tunisia. Budapest was actually very interesting because they have great technical crews, and we started with a lot of the emotional stuff, which is always hard to do because you don't quite know where your character's going, but I tend to sort of mark out certain bridges of it. So you really needed to sort of structure that and see what you were doing. We had in Tunisia, we had a couple of the really major, scenes where it was, very traumatic. And so it was actually, I'd already had time to sort of work the character and work that stuff. But it was, I liked the idea of 9 Miles Down. Where I felt it kind of went, not the way I would have taken it, was the end. And the fact that it was actually just the gas that made him think all these things. I think what would have been much more interesting was, at the end was she the devil or wasn't she? I think that's much, but the director was very pragmatic. He doesn't believe, he has no belief. He's a pragmatist. He's like, no, there's a science in life and there is no other thing. There's a science, so it's either this or that. To me, I'm not like that. I'm much more, well, there is a possibility of something else. So I would prefer to have seen that at the end. Did I get hurt in that one? Hold on. Hold on. Actually, I don't think I did in that one. No, I don't think I did. No, well, actually, no. She did hit me with a bat one time. Yeah, kind of, rehearsals. The interesting thing is when you deal with people that haven't had a lot of action rehearsals, they get overzealous all the time. It's like, no, what? Not on 3. It's like no, wait. So I think one time she kind of cracked me one time. I was like, oh, hold on. But that was better. Yeah, a lot of the emotional stuff. No, the hospital scene we did actually in Tunisia. The scene leading, which was all the emotional stuff inside the compound, inside the eating area, restaurant area, was done in Budapest. So it's really weird. They did a really smart thing there. The beauty of movie magic. When you look at that, you look at a corridor that went on forever, right? But what they constructed, which was very interesting, set design. This is where movies are really interesting, how they create them, is that the set designer came up with this idea because they didn't have a budget to make one huge hallway, another huge hallway, another huge hallway. They had a square set like this, right? And what they did was they put mirrors on either end of the set. So what you did was when you look down here, this mirror would reflect this corridor, making it seem from here that you have a very long corridor. So they had to be very careful as to, okay, we know we're on the south side of the building, the north side of the building, we have to change the props around depending on what you're shooting. But it was really interesting the way that they actually created it.
Hi, my name is Adrian Paul. Question: I love the acting. Do you have any personal favorites?
Well, Highlander was fun. Highlander was you sit down, you don't have to, don't feel bad, so you stand in the front now, I'm standing here. Highlander was a fun thing to do. I mean, I really enjoyed playing Duncan MacLeod, and when I directed, it was easy to get into that side of the business because I knew that character very well. And they tailored it, after the second season, they really tailored it as to what I could do. Because Duncan MacLeod didn't do half the things that I did. When the series came in, he did a bit of sword fighting, and that was about it. And then what happened was, as they saw that I could do martial arts, and I had the ability to do this stuff, they wrote more of it, more of it. And eventually, I have season 2. I'm like, whoa! One episode with 6 days, I had 13 action sequences to do. 13. That's including hanging off of a car, 3 sword fights. I mean, it was ridiculous. You can't, this series, don't make this go like Highlander 2. Outer space. Because, you know, people will forget it. It's not about that. To me, when I first saw Highlander 1, it wasn't about this fantastic explosion and everything else. It was about what the story was giving you, the flashbacks, the relationships, the feeling of life and other things. That's what it was. And I said, that's what the essence of this series has to be. And luckily, they started to listen to me, not all the time, but they started to listen to me, some things that I said, and that's where David Abramovich started to take it a lot more, was, you know, in that direction. So Highlander was a lot of fun. The Breed was another great character I had a lot of fun playing, because it was very different body movement, different structure, and I think that's important as you move along in a career, is to know kind of what you're doing as an actor. Yes, sir.
Probably already guessed what I'm going to say, but as far as all the medical relationships with women, no one in particular really, but anybody make you
Who made me feel like I wasn't acting when I was doing the love scene?
Elizabeth Grayson.
What's really weird about doing love scenes in a movie is that a lot of the time, when you're doing a series, is that you meet the person that morning. I actually had one scene where it was when McCloud had a flashback and he had a crush on a woman when he was in the Western days. I can't remember the name of the episode. We were shooting in Vancouver, and I met the actress half an hour before in the trailer. The next time I met her was grinding on top of me. Morning! So it's a little odd sometimes, you know, that type of relationship, if you like. I had a great connection with Nia Peebles. I had a great connection with, I mean, Elizabeth Grayson as well was fantastic.
That's my girl.
Great woman. She's, you know, really a fantastic lady. And I think sometimes you have different chemistry with different people. Obviously, Tessa Noel, Alexandra Vanderloo, there was a great something there in that. You know, it was really as you can get, I guess, because that was the love story. To me, that was the real love story of the series. Was Alexandra, Tessa Duncan. So I'd say those were the two. But you know, there are other ones during the whole episode that personally I could have gone, okay, but you know, I was married, so.